Naturally, the team is looking forward to the postseason and having the opportunity to play in the Garden again, and hoping that we're closer to full strength, and that Obekba and Jamal will be, on the mend by the time we play Thursday. Our players are aware this is a special time of the year and a great opportunity to play in the Big East tournament. It makes it even sweeter that it's at Madison Square Garden. That our seniors get an opportunity to play again in a venue that's been good for us, not only this year but throughout their careers. So just looking forward to playing against a really good Providence team that presents a real challenge. So that's kind of where we are.
How tough is it to beat a team 3 times, or have they just been a good matchup for you?
No. Our games have been competitive through the years. Naturally, Dunn is one of the premier guards in the country, and Henton, is a player that has great versatility. But I don't, less about how many times we played them, more that we know we'll have our hands full, because they're, a very talented basketball team, and have arguably the best 1-2 punch tandem in the Big East Conference, and one of the better 1-2 punches in America in Chris Dunn and Dunn and Henton.
How critical to get your first tournament win since that first season here?
Yeah, you always feel every game's important, but less so in terms of the fact that the last couple of years we've got knocked out. You're focused more just on playing good basketball at this time of the year, and the winning comes from playing good basketball. So the winning is a result of doing some things well over a 2-hour window or 40 minutes of play of a basketball game. So we at this stage of the year, it's about taking advantage of the opportunities that present themselves, and we're in a single elimination game stage of the year, and then of course to have the opportunity to win a Big East championship in Madison Square Garden is motivation. But I think it's less about, because the last couple years we've been bumped out, it's more about the opportunity that presents itself right now, less about the past.
Jamal and Chris, will they be game time decisions, or do you pick them as we go?
Just more cumulative, just the way you guys know how we operate. We're never just going to kind of take it one day at a time and not get too carried away with looking down the line or worried about what's happened in the past, but just kind of stay in the present. I take the information from the doctors and the trainers and the feedback from the players, then based on that composite view of all of that information, make an informed decision that we think is best for the team, best for that individual player, most importantly in terms of his long-range health. So we hope they're on the mend, and we'll take it one day at a time. It's more just what I do is I rely on the feedback, because a kid can look hobbled, but actually the feedback is that he's okay, just got to play through it. Or a kid can look like he's doing okay, but actually he's going to do more damage. So I really rely on the doctors and the trainers and then get information from the kids, and then we make the most prudent choice possible, based on that composite view or information. So we hope they're on the mend, and we hope they'll be available on Thursday, but we got to expect the unexpected, as Coach Katie always says, and have a couple good days of practice here and get ready for the tip-off on Thursday afternoon.
So were you surprised that Dom was the first team and Phil wasn't on it?
I would have loved to have seen, Dom receive first-team honors, and yet he came away with some nice hardware, deserved hardware, but naturally, just like a parent with their children, we want to see our players recognized, and I thought that D'Angelo was deserved of his first team honors, and I think Dom, was it 3 total?
Dom had second team most improved and defensive player.
Yeah, so 3. So Dom took home probably arguably the most hardware of anyone in the conference. Was there anyone else that got 3?
No.
Yeah. So Dom took home a wheelbarrow full of hardware, and D'Angelo getting back-to-back first team all. Big East was an impressive accomplishment, and Phil. He's the most consistent player I've coached in my career. Up to this point, it was Earl Watson, but I think this year Phil probably surpassed Earl Watson in terms of just consistency across the board. Steady growth, important contributions, and playing the best basketball of his career at the most important time in his senior season. And he's been a driving force these past 6 weeks in particular, but even early. When I think of the season, one of the images that comes to mind is Phil knocking down shots from long distance, going back to Syracuse, at Providence, a number of games in the Garden, at Marquette, just consistently tickling the twine, torching the nets, bottoms, and so it couldn't happen to a better kid because he works so hard. He's humble. He, has an understated game that I think at times goes, maybe unappreciated by a casual observer, but people that follow our program on a regular basis, and basketball fans have keen insight, are aware of this is really a special player. So, naturally, I would have liked to have seen Phil receive some honors, but his teammates and I think our fan base and basketball aficionados know that Phil Green is really a special player, having a great season.
Coach, when you look at preparation now for Providence, do you think it's helped you guys at all, knowing that you were playing this team really for almost about a week now, knowing that this would be the matchup, whether it be the 4 or the 5 seed?
I think it's going to, playing Providence presents challenges, because they're a very gifted basketball team, and that 1-2 punch is as good as any in America, in Henton and Dunn. Dunn is likely a lottery pick. I don't know if he's top 5 or top 10, but he's going to be somewhere, between 5 and 10 from what I'm hearing in terms of the NBA draft. And Henton, was right there for Player of the Year honors last year and this year. This year for sure, and I thought last year late he was a big part of Providence's surge. He probably wasn't on the board as a Player of the Year candidate, but coaches knew that Henton was a player that was really, combined with Cotton, who was lights out. But I think Henton was that other piece that really allowed them to surge and win the Big East championship in the Garden last year. So I don't, we're at a stage of the year where you're so focused on just that next opportunity. So we were, locked in on Marquette, because we were 6 and 7, and faced that stretch of 5 games, and we had to basically do exactly what we did, was win 4 or 5 games. That's not easy to do when you got your back to the wall like that, and such a razor-thin margin for error. And yet these kids responded, even with the injuries, and Branch missing the game at Marquette, and then of course Branch and Obekpa missing the game at Villanova, which was disappointing. But just pleased we've been able to kind of focus on one game at a time and deliver the results that have positioned us to have a chance to do something special here in the postseason. But I don't think there's any big advantage that we knew we were going to play Providence, I think, because we were really putting the energy towards the upcoming games. We weren't looking ahead.
So that's team been good at the back into the wall the last 2 years. Do you think that helps you, because now it's one game eliminations? You guys have been used to this. You guys seem to be playing.
Yep. Yeah, I think just the totality of the great part about having college, having seniors, having upperclassmen, is they've been through, the battles, over the course of their career. Doesn't guarantee success, but I think there's something to be said for experience and resiliency, as we always call it, problem solving and the ingenuity and dealing with injuries and being able to bounce back from a tough loss and deal with a short turnaround like we did on a Saturday, Monday. I think it was Seton Hall Xavier, if I'm not mistaken. That was a key 48-hour window that I thought our kids really responded well to, and then had to come back and play Georgetown on senior day in a highly emotional game and against a really solid basketball team. So I think all of it, just the entire 4-year career, prepares you. Again, doesn't guarantee success, but you're in a better position because of the experience that our players have had throughout their time here at St. John's.
Steve, you've had a lot of very colorful descriptions for Dom.
Yeah.
Unicorn, Costco, Swiss Army knife. What has it been like for you to see him flourish the way he has this year to an unbelievable degree?
Yeah, he's, he's so entertaining to watch play the game, and then just so pleased and proud of his growth and development. He's it's hard rating players because for different reasons they're memorable, but he would have to go down as memorable a player as I've ever coached. And he's so authentic, and there's an authenticity about Dom that we appreciate. And he's someone that's comfortable in his own skin, kind of an old soul, as people say when there's someone that's 20 or 21, but you get the sense that their soul is 60 or 70. And he's a caring individual. He's a teammate that really is happy for others' success. That's an interest at a young age. That's tough to come by. That really in life, for that matter, when you talk about human nature, it's oftentimes difficult for people to genuinely care about, to genuinely be happy for other people's success. And that's really one of the keys to building a team, is when you get a group that is focused on winning and focused on one another and helping, be what I call being other-directed, helping others bring forth their full potential or get closer to the full expression of their potential. And Dom is someone who I think is a catalyst for, elevating the spirit of team play, because he's Coach K used to call them happy warriors, Dom is a happy warrior. You know, he loves to compete. He loves to win, and he enjoys, you know, the challenge of competing at this level. So, yeah, I'd say he just is there's a pure authenticity that's rare, and a kindness, a pure authenticity and an element of kindness that's rare, not just special but rare.
Do you notice a big difference in Dom when he came back after the summer, when he was out in California for 5 weeks working with, you know, like a trader? Do you notice his confidence or anything?
You know, I mean, for me, it jumps out. His freshman year is where I first, you know, because that year where I was sidelined, but it gave me the opportunity to observe the team from some distance. And with that distance, time and space, often there's clarity in you know, what you see. And that was the first time, if you were to ask the staff, where I was like, this kid is, I called him, you know, extraterrestrial at that point, that you just knew he was very unique. And then we saw some more growth in his sophomore year. I thought last year tapered off, and even regressed some. So I thought this year he returned to the trajectory that he was on, you know, in the progression from freshman to sophomore year. And then this year, obviously, he took it to another level. But I think all of it, just, you know, his development from year to year. I think he had a good off season in terms of, you know, conditioning and training. I think even last year's struggles, you know, last year's struggles was an inspiration for his, you know, elevated play this season. Maybe, you know, came back maybe more focused, more determined to finish, you know, in a manner he could be proud of. And clearly they've been focused on, you know, wanting to win big in March. So I think all those elements, you know, kind of led to the performance Dom has had this year.